Hi everyone, thank you for making the time to join our webinar this afternoon. As you all know, we will be talking about Hyperscale X today, Commvault solution. Let's go over the agenda real fast. So there will be an introduction, and then we'll talk about who Commvault is and what they do, and then we'll dive into the essence of today's meeting, which is Hyperscale. What is Hyperscale? And then at the end, I will briefly touch on the licensing as well. So let's get started with the introduction. Speaking today are myself and my colleague Jeroen Noterman. My name is Laurens de Munter. I'm a BDM in the Arrow Data and AI unit, and I'm mainly focusing on Commvault. Besides your PDMs you already have with Arrow, I'm also a point of contact. So for any questions, whether it be about quoting or processes, feel free to reach out to me. At the end of this meeting, we will be sending the recording as well as most of the information we used and our contact info to all of the people that were invited. Then I'd like to give the word to Jeroen.
Yes, thank you, Lawrence. So my name is Jeroen Noterman. I'm a solution architect at Arrow, and I'm responsible for pre-sales and post-sales solutions to create them and implement them for, and one of them is Commvault. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with Commvault, Commvault has solutions that cover private, hybrid, and public clouds. Now, mainly if we look at the solutions themselves, they're all beneath the data management solution umbrella. So if we look at what that contains, so Commvault has solutions for, of course, backup and restore. From different perspectives. So again, backup and restore from private, hybrid, or even public cloud only solutions. They also have disaster recovery. I mean, in these times, business continuity is more important than ever before. So again, Commvault has solutions to cover that. They also have solutions to cover data migrations. If you're looking at customers are looking at the cloud or maybe already migrating stuff to the cloud, maybe some of your customers are already deciding that they want to move from one cloud to another. Now, of course, if you want to do that in a scheduled way, in an easy to manage way, you need a good solution to do that. And one of those solutions can definitely be from Commvault. I mean, they have a really broad knowledge and broad portfolio regarding all of those solutions. And of course, for example, also data governance, which is really, really important as well. There are many more solutions. If you look at Commvault themselves, Gartner has put them as a leader for many years in a row. So they're already familiar with managing data and what they can do with it already for many years. If we look at specific solutions, one of them, and I think the most famous one, is the Commvault Complete solution, which I think most of you will already know. The second solution that Commvault offers is Hyperscale, which is we're going to discuss today. And one other, I don't know if many of you have heard from it, is Commvault Metallic. It's a SaaS solution to back up your public cloud instances and your public cloud environments. So I think Commvault recently launched it within Europe. And if you want, definitely check that out. So today we're going to discuss a little bit more about HyperX, and we will do an introduction about Hyperscale X. Now, before we do that, there's one mystery guy that we didn't introduce yet, and he's kind of the central person within our presentation of today. So I'm glad to introduce to you Dave. Dave is always optimistic. He manages an IT environment. And the only thing is that Dave is actually a younger cousin of mine. If you look at his age, he's only 20 years old. So as you can see, he aged quite fast, quite faster than me. Now, let's look at why he aged so fast. Dave has a couple of challenges. I mean, he recently looked at a hyperconverged solution for his primary storage environment. He implemented it and he's really satisfied of it. And he was thinking, okay, why is that not possible with my secondary storage solution, with my data management solution? There should be something similar to that to solve all my problems, to get an easier pane of management, easier deployment, easier extension. There should be something in the market that does exactly the same as Hyperconverged did for the primary storage one, it should exist for backups and secondary storage as well. Well, this is actually already on the market, and the solution is called Hyperscale X. It's from Commvault, of course. Now, if you look at why and how, it just covers all the points, all the necessary requirements that Dave has for his environment, for his backup environment. Now let's look at how Hyperscale X can solve Dave's problems. Well, first of all, it exists in two deployment methods. You can purchase appliances from Commvault themselves, and of course, everything is covered with Commvault. So all the software support or the hardware support is all covered by Commvault themselves. Now, the second way you can deploy Hyperscale X solutions is by bringing your own servers. If you have a specific vendor in mind that you want to use and to deploy the software only solution from Commvault on it, you can actually do that. They have what they call reference architectures. There you can find all the necessary information regarding how many disks you should insert, which CPUs you can choose, how much memory you need. So it's a guidance what you need to configure in order to get it really easily up and running and really fast up and running for your customer. Now, it's based, of course, on Commvault and Hedvig technologies. We will talk about what Hedvig technologies is actually does in the background for to create this solution. Now, if we look at how we can start, you can see it scales from 25 terabytes up to, well, to be honest, the usable backend capacity of the nodes that you add. So there's no actual limit. You can just extend it up until you reach the maximum capacity of all your nodes. If you look at the physical nodes Commvault offers today, it's you have the 2300 nodes. It's a one rack unit solution, and you also have the 4300 solution, which is a two rack unit appliance. There's also a remote office branch office solution. It's a single node. It's called the 1200 appliance. It does not have the Hedvig technology running on it. It uses a standard Windows server environment, but you can definitely deploy it on a remote office and have the same look and feel as the other ones, of course, without the Hedvig technology. If we look at the appliances themselves, they have a couple of key benefits. One of them is that it's very easy to deploy. After 30 minutes you started the deployment, you already have a ready-to-go solution. So it's really fast that you can deploy it. You can start with it really, really easily. If you look at the architecture themselves, you start with 3 nodes, and then you can just add additional nodes when your capacity demand grows. It's also really flexible to extent. Each node has a specific amount of capacity that it can add to your backup cluster. If you want, you can just also mix and match different types of nodes within the same cluster. So you're not bound to a specific model or to a specific configuration when you start. You can just play around with it and add different types of nodes within your cluster later on as well. So again, flexibility to do whatever you want. It's also hybrid cloud integrated. So again, with the Commvault backup solution, you can out of the box integrate public cloud storage with this Hyperscale X solution as well. Now, one of the main things is, of course, that the Hyperscale X ensures security and data resiliency. This is by using the Hedvig technology, and we're going to see a little bit more about that in a couple of slides. Now, in essence, what this solution creates for you as a partner, for your end customers, and especially for my dear nephew, Dave, is it creates a hyper-converged backup solution, easy to manage, easy to extend. Everything he already experienced from his primary environment, he can have now with Hyperscale X for his backup or secondary storage environment. If you look at the installation services, it's divided within two parts. So with the racking and stacking, it can be provided by Arrow if you want, or you and your customer can do it yourself. Now, it also includes remote installation assistance from Commvault, which they will do the basic configuration regarding the appliances. If you later on want to integrate certain clients or you want to modify your Commvault backup environment, you can do it yourself as a partner. You can rely on Commvault, or again, you can rely on us, Arrow, to help you with the assistance of modifying the clients or the other configuration. Another key part of it is, of course, the support. There are a couple of types of support that are available. We are going to divide them in two parts. The first one is the software one. There's premium support on it, 24/7 year-round support that is available, and it covers the Commvault, Hedvig, and operating system solutions which are running on Hyperscale X environment. Now, the second part is, of course, the hardware. If something breaks on the hardware part, by default, you have next business day replacement. In some countries, depending on the region, you can upgrade this support to 4 hours replacement if you want, but it all depends on where the solution has been deployed. Now, if we look at the second type of deployment we can do, it's bring your own server solutions. There are reference designs with, I think, the major server providers which are in the market today. So if you have, for example, if you are Cisco, Lenovo, HPE, Supermicro, Fujitsu, or Dell EMC partner, and you want to use that servers or you want to use those to deploy this Hyperscale X solution, you can definitely check out the reference architectures on the Commvault website. There you will find more information, which CPUs you can use, which RAID controller, which disks, how many disks. All that information can be found on the Commvault website. Now, of course, they have the same software solutions as you have with the Hyperscale X appliances from Commvault themselves. So the software is exactly the same, only the hardware is chosen by you or by your customer. Now, we already mentioned a couple of times the Hedvig technology. Now, this was acquired by Commvault in 2019. It's let's just call it a software-defined storage solutions. It's the foundation of Hyperscale X. It runs on commodity servers. And the most important thing that it's doing for the Hyperscale X solution is that it ensures data resiliency. Now, again, this is the base of the solution to create a hyper-converged backup environment. Now, let's dig a little deeper into the resiliency. So what Hedvig will do regarding the Hyperscale X solution is that it will distribute the data across all the nodes which are available or which are deployed at your end customer. It will also make sure that the data is high available. It will make sure that if you lose a node, if you lose a disk, that the data will still be there. It will still be consistent, and it will still be spread across the nodes which are currently forming your cluster. Another advantage, and this is of course related to hyperconverged, the more nodes you add in the cluster, the more resilient and your environment will become, because the data is spread across multiple nodes within your cluster. And also, of course, the performance will increase each time you add another node into the cluster, because each time you add a node, you also add storage compute side, and it will also scale from that part as well. Now, we already mentioned the Hedvig solution gives you a very flexible appliance and a very flexible way to create your pools. You can mix and match different appliances. If you have disks with different size, you can just add a new node which contains bigger disks. If for some reason the smaller disks are not available anymore, or you decide that you need to extend your system with a little bit bigger disks, you can just do that. There's no limit on that. You're not fixed to a certain appliance after you started creating the cluster. Also, again, as already mentioned, this is due to the hyper-converged background of Hedvig. The more nodes you add to the cluster, the more resilient it becomes. The more nodes you add to the cluster, the more performance or the more performant it will become as well. Now you can also mix what, let's just call it, different generations. If you're using a certain type of Hyperscale X platforms or a certain type of vendor platforms now, you can just in the future use the next generation models and still deploy the software within those models. You can non-disruptively add nodes to the cluster, so it makes it easier for the administrators, and for extending it, you won't notice anything. The data will be distributed automatically by the Hedvig technology. You don't need to worry about data resiliency. It's all been handled by Hedvig themselves. Now, of course, what we as Arrow can do for you, we're here to help you in many ways. We can help you with pre-sales, we can help you with post-sales, we can help you with education, you name it. I mean, if you have a question, just contact your PDM or contact Lawrence, and we will see how we can help you, but we're definitely here for you. So please, if you have a question, just contact us and we will see what we can do for you. Now, what does Hyperscale X, how can it solve problems? And specifically in my case here, how can it help my, my nephew Dave? So it's actually completely based on Hedvig technology. So again, data resiliency, the cluster extension, the way you can extend it, it's just much more easier. Also for the management, you can just manage the solution with through the command center, through Commvault command center. So a single pane of management for Commvault and for your Hyperscale X environment. This makes sure that what was already simple just became even more simpler. You have the scalability and the resiliency advantages from Hedvig. Also the performance, again, if you're looking at what we already mentioned, if you add a node, you gain capacity, you gain performance. So again, all this within a single pane of management. So actually, I think in if we're looking at a conclusion, well, actually what Commvault did is it actually saved Dave. I don't know if there are currently more questions regarding the Hyperscale X solution. If not, then maybe I will give the word back to Lawrence, and he can talk a little bit more about the licensing part.
Yes, thank you very much, Jeroen. Want to add, should any people in the audience have questions afterwards, then just feel free to send them to us by email. I will now briefly touch on the Hyperscale X licensing because it has changed in regards to the normal Hyperscale licensing. It's a very brief slide. There's a one page, a big PDF that I will be sending to everyone, and then a bigger PDF with all of the information. But basically, the message is very simple. Hyperscale licensing is simpler now for Hyperscale X in comparison to the normal Hyperscale licenses. There are still two options, so either perpetual or subscription, up to 5 years, of which the initial purchase will be for 3 years. And upon renewing a subscription for 3 years, Commvault will supply new hardware to ensure that the customer is always running on the best practice recommendations. I said that it is simpler now, and that is indeed the case because now the licenses are only divided by the nodes that there will be used for. We either have a 12 drive server or a 24 drive server, and then for each of these options, we have a 1 to 5 year SKUs in both perpetual and subscription. And then the features that come with this, well, as Jeroen mentioned before, the software support is Commvault Premium support, so 24/7, 365. And then for the hardware replacement, you have a weekday, next business day replacement, or 24/7, 4-hour replacement, depending on the region. And as Mark added in the chat, that these are mainly for capital cities like Brussels. as I mentioned, there in these conditions and these licensing, there is a very big slide with all of the conditions and the prerequisites that I will be sending out together with this presentation. Are there any questions from the audience regarding this part? I'll take that as a no, which means that we've basically already covered all of the content in this webinar.
I just have maybe something that I'd like to add. As Arrow being, we've also been involved in a new partnership with Commvault regarding Hyperscale X. This actually means that Arrow Global Services is the one that is assembling all the Hyperscale X's, and that all the distributors worldwide, or at least in EMEA, I think, do need to buy the Hyperscale X at Arrow. So this also puts an emphasis on the fact that Arrow is a very important player here, and it is the start of a new partnership with Commvault.
Yes, indeed. Thank you, Elias. Well, then, if there are no more questions from the audience, then I think we can give back more than half an hour to the time of everyone attending.
I have one question.
Please go ahead.
Can you give us like an example price of like having 2 nodes for something, like a starting price of this product?
I don't have a price list here ready.
Okay.
But I will send you the information. I will send a separate email to you, where you can just tell me which of the nodes you would be interested in, and we will get that pricing out to you.
Well, just out of curiosity, really,
Okay.
to see how expensive such a solution would be.
Okay. Well, it will depend, since the software is included in the hardware SKU, as I mentioned. It will depend on the sizing and on the length of the subscription or of the software.
Yeah.
Jonas, if I may interfere, or Lawrence, if I may interfere here. Jonas, you mentioned 2 nodes. The startup is 3 nodes.
3 nodes, okay.
Yeah. So
Right.
that is the minimum startup, of course, because you have to look at the hyperscale a little bit like a RAID 5 configuration.
Yeah.
But RAID 5 over nodes. That's for me the most easiest way to explain the Hyperscale X. And as Lawrence already mentioned, of course, the pricing depends on your subscription range. The minimum is 3 years. Material remains at the on-premise, but then you have several options like you need additional NICs, you need additional ABA cards, you need the additional support. You can also opt in for the non-return disk, for example, if you don't want the disks to be returned to the manufacturer. Things like that add a little bit to the pricing as well.
Yeah, I understand.
But you can always reach out to us, and we can see what price we can offer, depending on the sizing of the hyperscales. Because they range from 25 to 50, 88, 180, 151, and 264 for the 3-node appliances. So we have five models available, and then of course you can extend with 1 node per block, basically.
Okay,
so
thank you.
While in the old days we had to extend with 3 nodes every time, now we have the capability of extending this with 1 node, which makes it, of course, more attractable.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Any other questions? Okay, I'll take that as a no. I believe that we can stop the recording then. As I said, we will be sending out the presentation as long as all of the information and our contact details to everyone that was registered to this webinar. And then I would just like to thank everyone for making the time to join our webinar in this very busy period for everyone. Have a nice weekend, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a nice weekend.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.